Alright YouTube, this is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on OCTOPATH TRAVELER, and today's video is going to be a little on the downer side. If you're not wanting any of that, just click off now. It's okay. I just everything with the collab last week, if you had kind of watched the video that I brought out right at the beginning there, I was very much disappointed in the collab and everything going on. But that wasn't, to me, the only thing that was really kind of disheartening about that day. It was also getting the notice about the price changing. And I know it does not affect the United States, which is where I live, and the dollar's fine. And I think because of part of that, a lot of us just didn't care or forgot about it or just didn't worry about it. We were too focused on the collab, which, maybe rightfully so. That was pretty egregious, that the kind of paid situation they had going on with that banner. And so, we had this kind of outcry from the community, which, was warranted. And for the most part, I think everybody handled that really well. I didn't see anybody, attacking, putting down, specific individuals and stuff like that, which is really awesome. I think in all of these situations, we should be able to have a good kind of conversation between ourselves, our community managers, and different, us as content creators to you guys in the community. So I do want to make sure that we're always advocating for a community that can engage with each other without causing, necessarily like hateful conflict or anything like that. So with that said, I do want to have a discussion about the payment increase for our Apple users and for the Android users, for those who are outside of the US that are their currency is tied to the euro. So let's take another look at this sort of notice that we got in game that has already went into effect, and I just haven't seen it talked about what I feel like is enough. We'll go through it, and then you let me know kind of how you feel about it in the comment section below. Is this something that we just leave alone? Is this something that we should say, hey, we don't want to see things like this in the future? And I understand nobody wants to see price increases, but let's just try to take a look and see what happened and what Square Enix did to resolve that issue, and kind of get an idea of, or feeling about whether or not we think that was the best course of action. Just, our opinions. I like to give my 2 cents on things. So let's kind of just take another look at that right now. Alright, so basically, hello, and we recently announced as October 5th, prices as a whole on the platform store will be increasing in certain regions. So, we already talked about it is just located for these regions, or just specific to these regions. The in-app prices for OCTOPATH TRAVELER on the platform will be changed in the relevant countries in order to ensure fair and equal treatment of players on all platforms. We have decided to also adjust in-app purchases on Google Play. So for those of you who aren't entirely sure what's happening here, in the Apple iOS store, they have felt like the value of the euro has been deflated enough that Apple themselves are raising the price of like what their cut is for in-app purchases through microtransactions in games across the board. So I've seen this in some other games. I play Tower of Fantasy. We got the same message, basically, that they're needing to increase prices on the Apple side of things. So one thing here that I really kind of wanted just to point out is Square Enix's answer to this was not only to increase the pricing for the Apple iOS users, but also to increase the pricing for the Android users. And I find this quite perplexing in a way, because I feel like what we're doing is we're being duped here. So in Tower of Fantasy, there's actually live PvP in the game, and they only increased it for the Apple users and not the Android users on top of that, or PC users in the game. They left all of that pricing the same and only changed it for the Apple, the Apple Store. So is that giving some sort of unfair advantage? You know, maybe, but we're looking at maybe smaller prices that isn't going to make or break what somebody was going to spend by much, maybe. Maybe that could be an argument that's being made. But the thing about it is, it's kind of like the principle of it is, hey, you know what? This is an Apple-related thing. Apple's taking more of a cut, and so what we're going to do is we're going to just raise our prices to keep our, you know, cut of that profit the same, and leave everybody else alone. And what I kind of feel here is Square Enix said, okay, look, we're going to lose some of our cut on the Apple side of things, but we're going to raise that price to make up for that. And then on top of that, we're going to use this as a good excuse to go ahead and, you know, gain a profit from the Android users, because that money that they, from increasing the Android side of things, it's not like that cut's being taken by Google, you know, in the Android app stores or anything like that in Google Play. No, the company's just getting extra cut from that. So there's something that I don't like about that, and that's because I feel like we, you know, got hoodwinked in a way, or at least the people in these regions are getting hoodwinked of, hey, in fairness, you're going to pay more money so that we gain more money. You know, it's not, you know, it feels disingenuous in the situation. And I think that piece of things was one of the most disheartening things that I'd seen from reading the news on the 5th of October here, along with all the Dell things going on. So what I don't want to have happen is for us to not look at this or think about it and trying to get a gauge from the rest of the community here of whether or not we should like be upset about this at all. Am I the only one? Like I can't imagine I'm the only one that says, hey, this seems wrong in some ways. Here's the list of countries if you haven't looked at this. Now, myself, I mean, I don't spend money in the game anyway. So even if this was a U.S. problem, I don't spend money, so it wasn't my problem. But you know, as a content creator, I really feel like I want to make content that is for the players, and we have a lot of players that live in Euro-based countries, and that's completely, you know, fine. And I think they need some support there at some time. So I really don't know exactly where to go with this as far as, you know, trying to figure out why they did what they did. I will kind of say, hey, I feel like if we were going to need to raise prices of all of these things, and you wanted to do it on the Android side of things, why haven't we just added a little bit to the pack or something like that? Like maybe you're throwing in some of the leveling berries, or maybe you're adding in some extra rubies too, like something to soften the blow. I know that they probably have very specific, this sort of thing equals this much in value, you know, this ruby equals this, you know, many pennies or dollars or whatever. Like I'm fairly certain they have a spreadsheet internally that kind of gives them that kind of metric, but in this case it feels really bad to not add either some extra value or to, you know, use it as a way to increase your profit margin, I guess, is a problem. I think I have an ethical issue with the company increasing their own profit margin because another company decided to raise their own profit margin from it. And I don't know, I guess, you know, Apple seems to have like a better reason to me, but maybe they're also part of the problem. And I don't know, but you know, inflation and deflation and values and you know, being traded across, you know, countries and of origins of, you know, these base corporations, like some of that makes sense to me of where there's some complexity with that. But when we're talking about valuing in-game items in a virtual game, that it seems like we're not really needing to do that. You know, we don't need to. I mean, honestly, why didn't you just leave the prices the way they were and just have a little bit less valuation? You know, I can't imagine you're encouraging more people to pay money by raising the price. But I don't know. I feel like at this point I've definitely rambled on a bit, and I do apologize. I'm really just trying to get this out there and kind of my feelings on it. You know, maybe a little bit therapeutic for my end of things, but please let me know what you guys kind of think about it, what your kind of feeling is down below. And I really hope I don't have to make another kind of downer video for quite some time. I hope we're done with that. And that's just been my 2 cents.